Coming to you live from Chicagoland Motor Speedway. It's the Three Wide Racing Driver Developmental Series, race number 3 out of the 6th race series. This is Three Wide TV. I'm Johnny Thomas, and this week our main man is back from his couple-day cruise. I didn't think we could take days off when we just started a job, but Richard is back here with us. Carlos is back behind the scenes, doing all the camera work and everything else. You see these awesome new numbers with everybody that associates with their car. And Richard, race number 3. First 2 races were really exciting. What's the outlook on tonight?
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. Chicagoland's a track that never straightens out. Expect the same guys to be up near the front. It seems like that so far in the practice. So hopefully we can keep it green like we did Iowa, have a good race, and keep it back tight.
One thing, I don't have a lot of laps here. It doesn't seem like Three Wide races here all that often, maybe once a year for a series. And that's what I've noticed is you're always turning. You get down this backstretch and you're still turning. It's an interesting track. I noticed a lot of people we talked to before the race yesterday and a couple days before, they were talking about the bottom lane was going to be the fast lane, and then I heard some rumors that the top lane was going to be the right lane to be in. I think it's, my opinion, I think it's going to be like Charlotte, where people's going to be riding on the bottom, and then that groove's just going to keep on working up. I don't know if that's your same thinking behind that or not, Richard, but I feel like the top lane is going to be the place to be, or even the middle lane would be the place to be comes towards the end of the race.
Yeah, we've been watching them here in practice, and you can see the groove working up a little bit. It seems like right now everybody's kind of riding either on the bottom or in the middle of the track. You don't really see anybody up on that wall scraping line that Kyle Larson likes to run. But it does look like it's going to move around as the race goes on, and looks like it's going to be competitive for some side-by-side racing.
Yeah, looking here, we got about 12 minutes left of practice. You see Todd Smith, and man, I feel like we talk about Todd Smith every time we're on this broadcast for basically 90% of this of each race. He's up front. He led most of the race last week at Iowa. Had a good shot at winning it, but the long run cost him. Levi ended up passing him, and then Todd eventually runs out of gas with 2 laps to go. Ends up 7th, but he's got a decent point lead. Levi has a lot of momentum coming out of that Iowa win. I see a race between, as you've seen in the practice charts, Todd Smith and Levi are 1-2. Are we going to see a battle between those 2 guys again?
It looks like it so far. I mean, and then the rest of the usual suspects up here in the top 5, Thomas Morris and Luis Somoza, the same guys you expect to see up front every week. So, yeah, I do think we'll see how the structure of the race plays out, but I do think those are so far it looks like the 2 guys to beat.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in Thomas Morris. I felt like he was a guy that could contend for the championship with Todd and Levi and Luis, but Thomas did not race last week. And that's a killer, being only a 6th race season. We thought Levi was out of this championship hunt when he had a bad race the first week, and I don't see Thomas kind of rebounding from that DNF that he had, or DNQ basically.
Yeah, that's tough to rebound from, but you know, it's not like the championship here is a huge esteemed thing. So, you know, I'm sure he's just here to get some races under his belt with these guys, get some experience racing with this league. So I don't think it's a huge deal to him. I don't think it'd be a huge deal to me. We all got real life that gets in the way of cartoon race cars every once in a while.
Definitely. We're riding on board with Nathan Young, and he's one of the only cars with a new paint scheme. I see Levi has a new paint scheme, but Nathan has a new paint scheme, Richard, and he talked a little bit about that. Is that some radio streaming guy?
Yeah, it looks like Nathan's putting his political views right there on the hood of his car.
Andrew Wilkos, I think his name is. That's a cool paint scheme. Nathan makes his paint schemes. By the way, I can't say enough about Nathan. He's one of the best painters out here. He doesn't race all that often, but you can message him on Twitter or do whatever you want. But he makes the best paint schemes, I feel like, and A lot of these guys you see racing here tonight have a Nathan Young Designs paint scheme. He's a heck of a paint builder.
Yeah, Nathan, you can't, like you said, you can't say enough about him. He goes above and beyond every week, does paint schemes, sponsors his team speak, travels for work. I mean, he's a busy guy that always takes time out of his schedule for anybody in the league that asks for anything, pretty much.
Yeah, Nathan's a good guy. Let's tidy up some things. Point standings. I talked about Todd Smith. He's the points leader through 2 races. This is kind of the halfway mark. Luis Salmasso 9 points behind. Still, anything could happen in that top 5. If Todd Smith has a bad race tonight, he could fall all the way back to pretty much 3rd or 4th. As Rusty Webb's actually in 3rd, 15 points behind. David Wilson 4th, and Michael Whitley 5th. So we got 2 guys in the top 5 that are rookies at 3 wide. I've been impressed with Michael Whitley. He's ran really good through most of these first 2 races, and he's kind of stayed out of trouble for the most part. Richard, is there anybody that's kind of caught your eye lately?
Probably Trey Landry's run pretty good these first couple of races after announcing for us last year. Thomas Morris ran pretty good at Charlotte. I know both those guys probably didn't get the finishes they're looking for. Of course, Todd Smith, can't say enough about him. I mean, anybody that's been watching sees the talent he's got. I expect him to contend once the real season starts for 3 wide. And, yeah.
Well, we said we were going to do a couple interviews. I don't know who you want to interview first. I said either Michael Whitley or who else would say? Thomas Morris. So we can bring one of those guys in the booth. You can interview him. Riding on board with James Duke right now. 7 minutes left in practice.
We'll bring Michael Whitley up to the booth and see what he has to say pre-race here.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Mike, what's happening?
Not much. Just trying to navigate a pretty tight track at the moment.
Yeah, we see your P6 right now in practice. I was talking earlier, I don't have a whole lot of experience here at Chicagoland. I've only raced here 3 or 4 times in 3 wide racing. And I was interested to see how the grooves were going to be, because it seems like that's all we talk about every time we race is which groove is going to be the best groove. In your opinion, what is it?
It's going to be, we're kind of going to see what we see at Charlotte. It's going to go slam to the bottom on the white line for maybe 2-3 laps. And then that groove is slowly going to work its way up the track. Maybe you'll see some guys come up there at the high line, early on, but it's going to be a lot of kind of following one line and one groove, trying to navigate around here.
That's definitely good to know. So it'll be more of a Charlotte race. Charlotte was exciting. Had a lot of passes for the lead. I talked about you, Michael, being really consistent, and I'm one of the guys that I kind of jumped out in the points being P5. Is this season successful right now to you, or you think you can go out here and get a win and move up in the points?
Yeah, to me, it's a pretty good season to start, especially coming into a new league and being around new guys. But if you're not first, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to be somewhere else and somewhere better. But looking forward to Richmond. Really, that's kind of the track I have circled right now. Get there, get to a short track, and hopefully do like we did in Iowa, but come away with a win.
Awesome, Mike. Well, we hope to see you back later on in the race, after the race, maybe in victory lane. Take it easy. Have a good race.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
That was Michael Whitley. Michael Whitley, like I said, P5 in points. Richard, he seems like a cool guy. He's a pretty good interviewer, too.
Yeah, just all these, another good interview. Andy's driving, trying to get laps in, exploring the grass a little bit as we speak.
That's all right. You can test it out. What do we got? 5 minutes left. I just saw Kyle Hanshaw, our in-race reporter, jumping into the broadcast. Kyle, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Hanshaw, I think you'd get a little bit better if you came into practice a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I was running a little late tonight.
You said you practiced here earlier in the week, and Michael talked about the grooves kind of moving up as the race progressed. You, I thought, had a good good long runs at Charlotte, and I think long run speed is going to be key here tonight. Do you feel like you can have the same type of speed as you had at Charlotte?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm just more comfortable on the long runs. On these short runs, these guys check out from a lot of us, and they use up some of their stuff, and I feel like I have more of an advantage on the longer runs. But I'm interested to see how this track is going to play out tonight. I'm hoping that the groove is going to move up, because I would love to use that outer lane tonight and hopefully make some passes up there.
How many Annie Ann's pretzels have you eaten?
Oh man, since I got this sponsor, I should own stock in Annie. Let's just put it that way.
All right, Hanshaw, we'll talk to you before the race starts after qualifying. So see you then.
All right, boys. Sounds good.
See you, Kyle.
Well, Richard, we got about 3 minutes left. I didn't make a pick. I completely forgot about making picks last week. I probably would have picked Todd Smith last week. Richard, who's your pick for tonight?
I tell you what, it's easy to go with Todd Smith, of course, but I'll go a little outside the box. I'll pick our broadcasting buddy, Thomas Morris. He's looked pretty good in practice so far, so hopefully he can get it done tonight.
Well, looking at lap times, Todd's quick. I mean, Todd's the easy pick. If you want to pick somebody just to get, I don't know, to get the win, you can pick Todd. I'm going to go out like you a little bit out on the limb. We just talked to him. I think he's competitive. He's been consistent. I'm going to pick Michael Whitley to get the victory here tonight. I see he's P6 on the speed charts. There's other couple underdogs you want to bet on. They're probably pretty high bets. Chad Frankenfield hasn't ran too good the first two races, but he's up to P4, so you never know. He might get a victory. You talked about Trey Landry, P5. So there's going to be a couple guys out here that might have a chance to win this thing. We've got 2 minutes left. Qualifying starts, like always, 2 laps, single car run. Then we'll have our national anthem. This week, it's Kelly Clarkson performing the national anthem. Hopefully you guys like the performances we've had so far. And other than that, man, I hope it's a good show tonight.
Yeah, I think this will be a good race tonight. You look at the leaderboard in practice, we got about, 10, 12, 13 cars within 2/10 of the leader on fast lap at least. So hopefully these guys can put on a good performance, keep it clean. Like you were talking about earlier, with this many guys showing up for a race, you get in trouble early here, and you could be in big trouble where the points are concerned.
Yeah, you just brought up entry lists. We got 28 guys battling here tonight, so that's more than what we saw last week. I think we had 27, so we got 28 tonight. Zachary Onan, I think, is a newbie in the 62 car. I see him. He's 27th on the speed chart, but he's a new guy joining pretty wide. Other than that, I don't see anybody else that has not raced. Well, there's actually a couple guys that are in practice right now that isn't racing. I see Sam Close is on the speed chart. Corey Lindsay's on the speed chart. They're both not going to race tonight. Same with Paul Ross. And maybe we can get Paul Ross. I know we want to talk to an owner just to kind of get his feel on how the season's kind of progressed in this DD series. Richard, if you want to do Paul Ross's interview, if you want to bring him up and do an interview with him.
And Paul, Richard from the broadcast, you got a copy?
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, Paul? I see you've run a couple laps in practice here, trying to get a feel for the track, I'm sure, for your guys. How you feel about the season gone so far for your team?
Not too bad. We're sitting second, third in the points, which would be first and second on returning drivers. So looking pretty positive as long as we can finish a couple more races out strong, and hopefully Luis will quick get bumped out of the way.
Yeah, Luis has run pretty strong these first couple races. We already knew his talent from the races he ran last year. So, how are you looking forward to the upcoming season? Are you going to run the trucks and the Cup Series?
Yeah, plan on running both of them full time. Looking more forward to the Cup. Towards the second half of last year, it seemed like I was getting a lot better handle on the car. Truck schedule is going to be pretty interesting with the road courses and dirt races. I don't think I'm going to be a strong competitor for the championship in that series, but I definitely think it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I expect you've seen it firsthand now in these first couple of races. Pretty competitive guys coming up to the TD series we haven't seen before. Well, appreciate you joining us. Good luck to your guys for this race. I know you'll be watching. Appreciate you.
Yep, thanks guys, and can't wait to watch the broadcast.
Have a good one, Paul.
Thanks,
Yep,
Paul.
you too.
Paul's definitely one of the veterans in this league. I think he's one of the originals. That's why, based on his name, 30G. He was one of the original guys that came on to three-wide racing. He was before I came along, before you came along, Richard. And Paul's been around this thing for a long time, and finally got that championship last year in the beat car series. That had to have been huge for him.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know or just joined, this thing started on console, and a lot of these guys have been here since then. Long before, I don't know, what is this, our 5th year probably on, or at least our 5th season on iRacing?
I think we had what is this? This is 2018. Didn't we start 2013 season? Carlos might actually know that better than we did because he joined kind of the same time we did. I'm not too sure though. I know for sure 2014, so this is going on. Yeah, so 2014, Carlos said. 2014 was our first Ace B-car season. We started out in cars like you see here, and then we moved into Cup Series just a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's been around a long time. A lot of competitive racing. It just keeps getting better and better as the series goes on. Big shout outs to Corey Lindsay, of course, for running this thing like we talk about every week.
Yeah, you see a lot of leagues kind of fade out over a few years, but this league has stayed strong. As you see, we got like 30 cars here tonight. So let's get caught up on qualifying. We got 19 cars already posted a lap. You're right on board with James Duke. He's 14th, but right now it's Luis Salmasso first with Tate Lytle second, Michael Whitley third, Christopher Munger fourth, and Chad Frankenfield fifth. Good lap for Luis, as he's he is a 10th quicker than everybody else.
Yeah, as we expected, he'll be fast. We expect him to be fast throughout the race here.
Trying to get a lap on where Todd Smith came in. I don't think he's ran a lap so far. No, he hasn't. That's interesting because usually by now, if you haven't ran a lap, it means you might have had a little bit of an issue on track.
Yeah, I don't know if Todd's just trying to sandbag a little bit and hang out and see what everybody else is doing, but hopefully he didn't have a little trouble during his qualifying lap. I can't imagine he did. He's probably just waiting a minute to get his lap in. Yeah,
we got quite a bit of time left before it starts, and I noticed, or I'm sure you've noticed too, track position for qualifying these things, and this is for the main series too. Is qualifying is super important. We've seen guys drive through the field in this, but I feel like you've got to qualify up front if you want to have a chance to win. You can qualify in the back, get a top 5 or top 10, but you got to qualify up front if you want to win these things. I just see Todd Smith on track right now. But like I was saying, Richard, I think you got to qualify in the top 5 if you want to win this.
Yeah, and especially, a track here, unless someone just makes a big mistake, this is the track really where the track's going to get you, unless you do something goofy. So, you expect a long green flag run or just one long green flag run for the whole race, or maybe 2 long green flag runs if something were to happen during green flag pit stops. So, yeah, you can't really afford to get very far behind. These guys up front are fast, and you expect them to just pull away from you if you can't put in a good lap and hang with them.
There's Todd running all the way down at the bottom, coming off 4. This is the first completed lap down on the apron, and Todd will be second to Salmasso. I screw up his name every time I say it. I apologize to Luis. But Todd Smith is second, and Luis, I'm guessing, will probably be your pole sitter.
I want to say Salmosa every time. If I had a Salmosa jar, I'd be able to put my kids through college already.
Well, it was Salmoso Salmoso for the longest time, and then he corrected us to say it's Salmaso. So now I've been trying to practice Salmaso, but we'll get it here. We'll probably get it at race number 6 when the season's over.
Yeah, Luis had to give us an English lesson that A in the middle has an A sound and not an O sound, apparently.
Here's our in-race reporter, Hanshaw, getting, this is probably his only 4th or 5th lap on track. I think this is his warm-up lap, get up to speed lap, so this will be his first lap.
Kyle in his powder blue car. Did he get the wall a little bit right there?
Well, yeah, that was actually his first lap he ran, and he's way high up the track compared to Todd Smith. Todd ran that bottom lane. I think Kyle's working in that high lane for the end of this race.
And Cal trying to, maybe he's trying to build up momentum like it's Daytona for that second lap.
I don't know if that works here. And I think Hanshaw only one on track, and I'm going through the order here, and I see one guy that is normally always fast. Our winner from last week, Levi, has not posted a lap yet, so he could be in the same boat as Todd Smith. He could just be waiting to see what the best lap time is, but I'm guessing you gotta post a lap here eventually. The drivers' meeting's at 10:10.
Yeah, I think they only got about 1 minute and 45 seconds left, or maybe a little bit longer than that before they got to post a lap. So he doesn't have a lot of time. It looks like about 3 minutes left to post a lap, so he's gonna have to get out of here pretty quick.
So we'll see if that'll be interesting. We'll see if Levi can get a lap here. We'll drag Hanshaw back in here and see what he was doing on that qualifying lap. Hanshaw.
Yep.
That was a heck of a line for qualifying.
You like that?
Richard said you were trying to build up momentum like you're at Talladega.
Oh, coming to the start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the track? I see you posted your P20. I mean, we saw Brent Miller last week work his way all the way up. He started in the 20s, ended up finishing second, which we'll talk about later. That's a great run for Brent. But you start 20th. Can you work your way up there and get a top 10, top 5 for this?
I mean, I think the driver has potential, but I don't know. I'm liking the setup for this evening. It's just going to be like a waiting game and just see how this race plays out tonight, and hopefully we can get up towards the front when it comes down to the end.
The car has potential, right?
Car got potential. Driver needs a little work.
Well, we'll leave you on. We'll put you up in the booth. We see you're running laps, just getting some practice laps for now. So I think that's it. Has Levi made a lap yet, Richard? And we just got word from our man Carlos. Levi's starting in the back. That's really interesting, Richard. I feel like that's not the smartest move.
You could almost say that's a bold strategy, Cotton, and we'll see how it works out for him.
Yeah, I don't understand. And unless he had an incident in qualifying, he's just not telling us about.
Like we talked about, I feel like here you'd really have to mess up qualifying to get the wall or anything, as we saw earlier with Kyle. But yeah, that is it's a different kind of strategy. Levi's a pretty talented guy. I expect him to at least be able to work his way up to mid-pack. But yeah, you just worry about the effects if this thing goes green the whole way. It's gonna be tough to get up there and really contend anything higher than 9th or 10th or 8th.
Yeah, that'll be something to keep an eye on. I'm getting word it's 10:10. We've been talking for a while, BS, and I didn't even know the time. 10:10, and when it's 10:10, we know that's time for the national anthem, and that'll be played, like I said earlier, by Kelly Clarkson. So here's the national anthem, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you see by the dawn's early light so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And we're back after that national anthem by Kelly Clarkson, former American Idol winner, Kelly Clarkson. We got about 3 minutes until the driver's grid. Looking like it'll be Luis Masso on the pole, Todd Smith second, Tate Lytle third. Man, Richard, I'm excited. 84 laps here, just like Charlotte. I think Corey's kind of planned it out that the mile and a half will be 84 laps, standard lap times for each race. That's kind of good to know because sometimes the laps are all over the place. So we know these are 84 laps, halfway at lap 42. If I did my math right, I think 42 is halfway. Like we always do, on halfway bonus points, leader gets 5 points. And that's added up. I've noticed Todd Smith has collected 12 bonus points so far in these first two races. And if we go to race 6 and Todd wins by a couple points this championship, then the bonus points actually do matter. You see the results of qualifying. Salmasso, Smith, Lytle, Whitley, Munger, Frankenfield, Morris, Wilson, Landry, and Rucker. And I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rookies in the top 10, so that's interesting. Did I count right? Yes, 7 rookies in the top 10. So we got Salmasso, Lytle, and Wilson, your only veterans of 3 wide in the top 10. So we got some youth up here, Richard.
Yeah, but no surprises up there, I don't think. 10th place for Andrew Rucker. I think that's pretty good. I don't really remember how he ran at Charlotte. I'm definitely not sure how he ran last week at Iowa. That seems like a pretty solid qualifying effort for him. The rest of those guys, I think they're pretty much where you expect them to be.
And we see Rusty Webb. We mentioned Rusty Webb, third in points. Having a great year so far, so hopefully Rusty will keep it up. Jordan Teal in 12th, Hines 13th, Hackathorn 14th. Looking to see more out of Matt Hackathorn. He's been kind of riding in the back of the field, hovering around that top 10, top 15 area. I know he can contend for top 5s to win, so hopefully we'll get him back up to the front. James Duke 15th, Skylar Nissel 16th, Nathan Young 17th, Zachary Onan, first race for Zachary in 18th, Chad Brown 19th, and Brent Miller 20th. And Brent, I think, started 20th last week and finished second. I'm hoping, or he's probably hoping, that he can do the same. Our in-race broadcaster, reporter, Kyle Hanshaw 21st, Personette 22nd, Sims the 4th, 23rd, McCusker 24th, Stevens 25th. We mentioned earlier, Levi Zielinski didn't post a qualifying lap. He'll start 26th, and that'll round out the field. So 26 guys will race tonight. And that's a pretty decent field. We had 27 last week. So the guys are steadily coming back to this series, which it's got to be a positive. Corey's got to like that we're having consistent car counts each week.
Yeah, I think he's getting what he's looking for when we started this series. You know, the actual league, the regular season's built on guys showing up. It makes it, you got to show up for races even if you win to be able to make the chase. So you expect guys to show up. We have to make a financial commitment, not for this series, but once the regular season starts, you're going to make a financial commitment, and we've never really had a problem with participation. And that's carried over here to these DD series.
And good thing you mentioned that. I just want to let everybody know registration. If you're watching, I know we got like 12 people watching. That's good for a streaming broadcast. 12 people watching. If you haven't registered for Three Wide Racing, registration is now open. You can register for a full charter, a max charter, I think was what Corey calls it. That gets you pretty much everything. Or you can purchase single charters for their Cup side, Truck Series, or the Triple Crown Series, which is starting up, I think, in a couple weeks. I'm pretty sure that Triple Crown Series. So if you want to race in that, make sure you get a charter. It's open now, so register, 3wideracingleague.com. Corey will set you up with everything. But like I mentioned, 12 people watching. Thank you guys for watching this. Race number 3 for us, we're still newbies. We're still not veterans. As you saw, Richard, he takes vacations on week number 2. So he's still really fresh. But this is race number 3. This is basically halfway point, right? So we got 3 more races after this. You see the cars gridding. So I'm having a blast up here. I know Carlos is having a blast. Thank Carlos for everything that's going on here. Don't thank us. We're just BS and having fun. Carlos is the man doing all this stuff. So I know I'm having fun. Richard, race number 2 for you. I'm guessing you're having quite a bit of fun too.
Yeah, as you talked about, got a day off, 2 days into the job, so the pay's not real good, but the benefit package here at 3Y TV is great. Yeah, anybody who enjoys watching this, me and Johnny basically get to show up for 2.5 hours and just talk your ear off. But Carlos is investing 10, 12, 15 hours a week trying to improve this broadcast, so he's really the guy to thank if you enjoy getting to watch this from week to week.
Yeah, and me and Richard, and like everybody here, everybody just loves racing. So when we kind of had this idea of 3Y TV, I wanted to be behind the mic. I know Richard did, Hanshaw does. We all love racing. We've all been a part of it for many, many, many years. So it's easy to talk about it, I feel like. It's easy to talk about these guys. We know these tracks. We've seen them on TV. We've raced them on this little sim we got called iRacing, and it's a platform that we use to do this. And as you see the cars rolling off, we'll get the lineup started because we only got 1 lap, so we better do it quick. Luis Samosa starts first, Todd Smith second. Row number 2, Tate Lytle, GTR. Tate Lytle, man. Michael Whitley, P4. Christopher Munger rolling off 5th, Chad Frankenfield 6th. In row number 4, it's Thomas Morris starting 2nd, David Wilson Thomas Morris starting 7th, David Wilson 8th. Row number 5, Trey Landry 9th, Andrew Rucker 10th. And Richard, take it over.
And then we got Rusty Webb rolling off 11th, veteran, Jordan Teal 12th for Isotech. 13th is the Harry Gann of the series, Richard Hines, and Max Hackenthorn rolls off 14th. Starting 15th, James Duke in the 76 car, and coming back to the series, Skylar Nissel in the 31, starting 16th. 17th, we got the go-to guy for 3 wide, Nathan Young, and 18th, Mr. Zachary Owen in the 62 car.
All right, Richard.
19th,
Sorry,
Chad Brown.
they're rolling off. We're slow. Green flag's out. Luis Samosa with a huge start. Sorry, Richard. The green flag wave. We'll count down the leaderboard later on. But Samosa with a big, big start. We get into turn number 1. We'll let you guys ride along with whoever for lap number 1. You can enjoy the sights and the sounds of 3 wide racing. And there you have it, Luis Salmaso leading lap number 1. Sorry, Richard, for cutting you off there. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem, man. If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. A little slow on the grid read there. A little too much commentary.
No, that was all of our problems. You see a battle here for second, about 4 cars. It's Todd Smith in second. Tate Lytle, he finally gets to start up front. I like to see what he does, actually having a good starting position. We see a battle here for the 4th position. That's Michael Whitley getting underneath Christopher Munger. And Whitley will take the pass here. Like we always say, Richard, these guys racing here pretty tough early on. Or if you do race pretty tough early on. Can you start seeing tire wear?
Yeah, it seems like in this model that iRacing's got, much better than NASCAR's model, for sure. Maybe it's a lot easier to do on a computer, but tire wear seems to be an issue every week. I mean, you can't drive the car like it's a qualifying lap every lap, or else you're going to pay for it 15, 20 laps into a run, as we've seen at the races previous to this so far this year.
Yeah, it seems like tire wear was a key factor at Charlotte. Tire wear was huge at Iowa. I felt like that's what won Levi the race last week was tire wear. Todd really burned up his tires. Seems like later on in the race, and Levi saved his and caught him and passed him. We got a battle for second. Tate Lytle looking underneath Todd Smith, and that's got to be a little bit of challenging for Todd. I don't think he's had anybody pass him lately in the first two races.
No, and maybe Todd learned something last week about taking it easy on the car for the first part of these runs. Or we know Tate's a fast guy, so maybe Tate's just faster than him. We'll see how this plays out over this whole first fuel run here.
Yeah, and this is lap number 5, so the tire wear will start to become a factor. I like to see some of these lines these guys are running. We're seeing guys in the bottom. We're seeing guys up top, way up top. You saw that 17 car, and then the middle lane seems to be the preferred lane here. That's Andrew Rucker, a guy you mentioned, Richard. We haven't talked about too much. Battling for the this is Andrew Rucker's first race, as he's P12. So not only is it the Zachary Onen's first race, I had to find his name, it is also Andrew Rucker's first race as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's running all right. Just trying to get a feel for it, I'm sure. Get a feel for this race. Everybody's got little butterflies here for the first 10 laps, so they get calmed down. But you can see these cars running side by side. The lanes look pretty even. You'll get that little bit of run on that middle lane off. But everything looks pretty even so far. We'll see how everything wears in as the race wears on.
I've liked these first two races, and it seems like the same case for this race here. Is my biggest complaint, I seem like I complain a lot when I'm racing these things, is there's not enough grooves for us to work in. But for some reason, this series has opened the door basically for multiple grooves everywhere to pass on. And I saw tons of lead changes at Charlotte. Not so much during Iowa, but you saw passes per position. Besides the first place position, Todd Smith dominated that race, but middle of the pack, there's battles going on all over the track, and as we see at Chicago, it seems to be the same case.
Yeah, there's a lot of good racing as we go back through the field here. Everywhere beyond basically the lead and second place, everybody's running pretty hard, running pretty clean. Looks like they're driving the cars hard off 4. You can see them trying to stay off the wall as they come off 4 there.
Yeah, we saw Kyle Hanshaw, our reporter, getting in the wall and qualifying off turn 4. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That'll be interesting to note. Maybe when we get a little bit more rubber build up on these tires, we'll see guys really pushing the limits off 4. Luis Samosa right now coming to lap number 10. He's got a lead on Tate Lytle. It was actually almost 1.2 seconds. Now it's about 0.8 of a second. So Tate seems to be reeling Luis in.
Yeah, it seems like Tate's not trying to save anything for the long run. We'll see how this pays off for him in the towards the end of this run. But right now, it looks like he might be the fastest car on the track.
Seems to be that way. Luis Samosa, like we mentioned, P1. He's got a cool paint scheme, that Jaws on the quarter panels. That's a neat little paint scheme he's got going. We got a battle here. It's Brent Miller and Levi. Levi so far through 10 laps, hasn't worked his way up through there too much, as you see he's 16th. He's gained 11. Yeah, okay. Our boss said he's gained 11 spots, so I guess he's moved up quite a bit. As you saw, I'm looking at my tracker, and 21st is 3 laps down, so some of these guys have had to have some type of problems. Carlos is saying the 7 car power failure. He's 25th. So my little graphic isn't working as good. But I guess there's 24 cars in the lead lap, not only 21. As that battle starting to heat up, Brent Miller has worked his way up to 15th after starting 20th. And there's Skylar Nissel. Richard Skylar had a decent run. He qualified good at Iowa and kind of faded back a little ways. But I think jumping out of the car for so long for Skylar, he's really impressed me quite a bit.
Yeah, Skyler, pretty competitive before when he was in the league, and I think when he was away from the league, he was away from iRacing as a whole. So I think he's still trying to get his feet back under him. He takes some time off. You definitely got to get used to it. There's been build changes since he's been gone, so he's trying to relearn some of the stuff that he knew before he left, and I think he's done a decent job.
And probably Skyler's coolest moment in three-wide racing is winning the big race that we all try to win, and that's at Daytona. That was his only win in three-wide racing, but I mean, if you want to have one win, that's the place to do it. At Daytona, I know you've never had a chance, have the privilege to win there, and me neither. I haven't won the big race, Daytona 250. That's coming up in March, by the way. After this season starts, we'll head up to Daytona and kick off speed weeks. But we got, I don't know, about 60 laps here at Chicagoland as Luis has kind of pulled away from Tate. It was 0.7 of a second. Now it's almost a second lead for Luis. So right now he's pretty comfortable out front.
Yeah, it seems like it's balanced out to where they're maybe Luis is a little bit quicker, but they're running pretty similar lap times as it goes on. And Tate's pulled away from Todd Smith a little bit, but that seems to have equalized too. So there's only about a half second between those guys, and they've kind of checked out on the rest of the field. It seems like Todd's about 2.5 seconds ahead of fourth place Michael Whitley, who's having a good run.
Yeah, one thing that hasn't spread out is the battle between Michael Whitley. You just caught here just a little bit ago, Michael Whitley and Christopher Munger. Those two have been neck and neck the whole race, all 15 laps. As you see, Michael Whitley is in fourth. Mike Stevens gets, I don't know if he got loose or bounced off the wall there, but kind of a abrasive left-hand turn in the straightaway. And Stevens, Mike has struggled these first two races. I look for Mike to have some good runs here for the first couple races this season, but he's been struggling. There's been a couple guys that have struggled so far that I know want to get better runs, but Mike's sitting back in 18th place. We see Patrick McCusker on pit road, and there's a battle with Christopher Munger and Michael Whitley again. They're side by side again.
Yeah, and it looks like Patrick might have got the right side of that car a little bit, like we're talking about off 4. He might be done. And yeah, that's a good race right there for that's like middle of the pack kind of position. Actually, for fourth place, as the 55 car takes over fourth place.
And if Corey's watching this broadcast, this is what he wants to see between two guys that have never raced in three wide. It's Christopher Munger, Michael Whitley. They've raced 17 laps, basically side by side, single file, bumper to bumper with those guys, and even Thomas Morris. So there's three guys that have raced clean, not only this race, but the first two races. So those guys are people that you want to have in the league. I know this is basically a showcase league. This is the AA or AAA of three wide. You want to make a name for yourself. Maybe not only winning. You don't have to necessarily win, but battling for 4th, 5th, or just even battling 10th through 15th cleanly is definitely a positive that Corey wants to see.
Yeah, I think that's way more important to Corey than even being competitive. And for us, when you get out there, you want to trust these guys. You want to trust that when a guy pits 2 laps earlier than you, and then he catches you on newer tires, he's not going to do anything dumb. Everybody here that's been here a while understands it. If you're faster than somebody, you're going to pass them eventually. Eventually, hopefully, they'll do the right thing and let you go. But just don't do anything bonehead and to ruin anybody's race, and everybody will be happy.
Yeah, and this league's so cool, like you mentioned. We've been racing with these guys forever, so you know their tendencies, you know what's going on. I can pretty much pinpoint a guy when I'm racing around them on how they're going to race me, what they're going to race like. And so far, I mean, if I would get on the track with any of these guys, with Whitley, Morris, and Munger, I'd be pretty confident in racing around them.
Yeah, I'm glad you said those guys, because if we were talking about Todd Smith, we probably wouldn't be racing around him too much. He seems pretty fast.
No, I wouldn't be seeing Todd pretty much at all. I just saw Luis Salmassa whack the wall coming out of turn 2. He's got some right side damage to his car. It looks like he just got tight there and hit the wall. I don't know if that's going to slow him down at all, but you might have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and as we were talking there, it seems like Todd Smith got around Tate Lytle for second, and it does seem like Todd's running down Luis a little bit after that damage. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, Todd Smith gained about 0.3 of a second there. Luis lost a lot of ground. I don't know if that's going to slow him down. Like I said, aerodynamics pretty important on a mile and a half. I'd like to say. You see Todd Smith gaining on him there, 0.6 of a second. He was 0.8 of a second last lap, so he's reeling in Luis.
Yeah, and like you talked about, this car seems like it's pretty tight. Denting up that right front definitely doesn't make it any looser. It's just going to make it a bear to drive offers here to try to keep any momentum up.
I think one thing drivers don't like, they don't like loose off, twitchy loose off, and they don't like tight everywhere. And it seems like Chicago right now is pretty tight everywhere. I'm seeing on the track, guys are slipping up there. You know, I don't see any loose conditions out there.
No, it definitely seems like these guys are. It's a big race for patience on the throttle. Seems like it's a big deal, and it looks like Todd knocked off another couple tenths on Luis that lap. So it looks like we're gonna have a battle for the lead here in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, before we get that battle for the lead, we're on lap 23 out of 84. I'll go through the field here with the first 10, top 10 guys. We mentioned Salmosa first, Todd Smith second. We got Tate Lytle third. That's pretty much how they started. 1, 2, 3. Christopher Munger in the fourth spot. Carlos is just clicking 1,000 miles an hour, so I'll slow down here. We got Michael Whitley, P5, Thomas Morris, P6. All those positions haven't changed at all. You see David Wilson right behind Thomas Morris. He's seventh, started 8th. Rusty Webb, 8th. We mentioned Rusty. And we got a caution. Lap 24, caution out on the track. Not too sure what happened. I'm guessing maybe a single squad. Oh, and there it is. It's Mike Stevens. Mike Stevens around. He loops it and causes a caution. We mentioned Stevens' troubles this season, and it has continued this race.
I think he actually got the 44 car there, too. I don't think that was just a single car spin.
Now you see the 44 with damage. Trying to get an idea. Oh, that's Hackathorn. Hackathorn's got a new paint scheme. I didn't know who that was. Let's see what happened here. Well, Hackathorn's in front of Stevens. Oh, he gets loose off the apron. Oh, it had nothing to do with Stevens. Oh, and Hanshaw. Hanshaw gets into it as well, our in-race reporter.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it before the race, but getting down on that apron can be a little, you really got to keep an eye on what you're doing with the car once you get down there, because that transition can get a little squirrely.
Yeah, that's something we forgot to talk about. And also, I remember that happening last year to Hackathorn, getting off that apron and causing a big wreck as well. And I don't know if it was here, but it was one of these mile-and-a-half tracks. We got on that apron and got loose. That's something that he's got to worry about. Yeah, and he lets off the throttle there, and then it just turns him right into Mike Stevens, innocent bystander. And there's Hanshaw. I think he gets clipped as well. I don't know if he's got any. He got clipped pretty hard in the front end, so I don't know if he'll have any type of damage there. We'll get a word with him. As pit stops are coming off the track, we'll see who gets off first. Looks like Luis gets off first, followed by David Wilson.
I'm surprised that Luis maybe he did get his damage fixed and it wasn't very long, but I thought that was a big break for him to try to get that car patched up.
Now it says pit stop times here. Luis first, Todd Smith second. I swore David Wilson came out in second, but pit stop times, Carlos said, and David Wilson 14.9. That's a good pit stop. I'm guessing that's how he gained all his time. One thing we're doing new here today at 3 Wide TV is we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're not going to go away from coverage. Just you won't hear me and Richard talking. Carlos is going to put you guys on a team, or I mean on a car, in car, whatever he wants to do. But we're going to step away from broadcast. We'll be back before the green flag waves. So right along with right now James Duke. we're back from our break. We rode along with James Duke. You see, there's lights are off on the pace car. Luis Samosa is first, and David Wilson is actually second. That's a great stop by Wilson. I think he came into pit road, what, fifth, Richard?
Yeah, that was a great stop by his crew, and I've heard people talk. I haven't got to race much lately because I was gone on vacation, but apparently they've adjusted the coding for when you pit for it to have more an effect on your time.
You see the pace car in. Luis, man, he's been on it today on the start, second start, good start. There's old Rusty Webb, man, getting up to second. We said Rusty's third in points, and he came from pretty much, I think he was running 8th or 9th before that caution came out, and Rusty's sitting in second.
And Rusty's had some good runs lately. He's one of those guys that's been around a long time, kind of ran in the back for a while, and made himself competitive the second half of last year. I guess he's been putting in some work.
I'm starting to see a lot of people with right side damage. One of them being Tate Lytle. You see a wrinkled up right front. We mentioned Luis Salmassa with a right front damage. So these guys, like you said earlier, probably getting pretty tight and collecting that turn four wall out of there.
Yeah, getting that Chicagoland strike. I think the key here is, I'm sure that caution was a huge break for a lot of these guys to try to get that patched up best they could. Seems like the key here is going to be if you can be one of those cars that doesn't have that at the end of the race, it'll probably be a huge advantage.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like the damage is affecting Luis or Tate. Tate's trying to go around Rusty for second. And you see Rusty, I think that middle lane, Richard, is probably the preferred groove, like we saw at Charlotte. I think it's tough to make that pass on the inside. Seems like Tate's going to do it, though, but that's got to be tough to make it, especially when the middle lane car kind of pinches you down there.
Yeah, they don't give you a room to get any run off. It seems like they're just going to pull away from you on the straightaway. But that was a good pass right there by Tate. It definitely seems like that's where you want to be, is kind of right in the middle, probably the fastest way around. But I think on the first couple laps of tires, it seems like these guys can make passes when they need to.
Yeah, we got Salmasso in first. Tate Lyle just making the pass on Rusty Webb, like we mentioned. He's in second. Rusty Webb in third. And we mentioned Kyle Hanchuk got caught up in that wreck earlier, the first wreck of the day on lap number 24. And we fortunately have Kyle as our in-race reporter. None of the other guys came on to the care center room, so we can't talk to them. But we have Kyle, and Kyle, it looks like Hackathorn just lost it in the tri-oval. What could you really see there?
Just Hackathorn tried to make a pass on the apron, or I don't know, whatever he was doing, and if you hit that apron, you know, if you come back on it just at the wrong angle, you're just going to go for a ride, and that's what he did, and collected Stevens, and actually Stevens glitched out there off of my screen, and I didn't know where he was going, and I thought Hackathorn was going to light up the racetrack, but he didn't, and collected me and blew my engine and ended my night.
That's definitely an unfortunate day for you. I know you wanted to finish in the top 5 in points. Two bad races, and two bad races out of your control, really, and that's got to be the most frustrating part.
Yeah, I mean, you think some of these guys would learn by now, but I guess it takes more time, but it's whatever. I guess we'll move on.
All right, Henshaw, we'll talk to you after the end of the race, get your word on everything that went down at Chicagoland, so stay tuned for the checkered.
Sounds good.
And Richard, that's got to be so unfortunate, and I really don't want to kind of rag on these guys, but the guys that have been involved in incidents so far this year are the guys that have a lot of races under their belts in 3-wide.
And maybe they just don't feel that pressure to keep the car underneath them as much as these guys that feel like they have to prove something to be able to get into the league. So I don't know if those guys are just driving with a little bit less level-headedness or what, but yeah, it definitely seemed to be that way.
Yeah, we talked to Christopher Munger last week, and I remember him saying he's kind of just on pins and needles right now. He doesn't want to kind of get on anybody's nerves or do anything wrong. And you're probably right. These guys have raced for so many races that they're probably comfortable in doing pretty much whatever they want to do. It doesn't look good when they're wrecking and crashing, but I know from a rookie standpoint, you don't really want to make anybody mad.
No, I think all these guys are just worried about looking stupid. Nobody wants to look stupid out here. Nobody wants, when it comes time for registration for the season, and we go to that, we do have a drivers committee where all the team owners kind of get input on what happens with the league. You don't want any of those guys to have a kind of a black mark on them when it comes time to register for the year.
That's definitely a good point. Everybody's kind of dot their I's and cross their T's here before Daytona hits. You see Christopher Munger actually right on the back bumper of Todd Smith. Gave him a little bit of a shot down the backstretch. As you see Tate Lytle, he's starting to close up on Luis. 0.8 of a second back. Rusty Webb, another 0.6 back from Tate. And a guy who started dead last, he's worked his way all the way up to 8th right now. So Levi, and you see him working on Michael Whitley there for 7th. So we're not halfway yet, and Levi's already worked his way up to 8th.
Yeah, it's been a good run for him. I think that caution was a huge advantage for him. It would have been tough for him to be up this far, this early in the race without that break. So that's worked out for him. It does look like he's got a little right side damage, but I guess everybody in front of him does too. So how much of a disadvantage could that be?
Yeah, we talked about the aero push, and kind of when you have any type of aero damage, it seems to affect your car, but not here today. We got Luis with damage, Tate with damage, and Levi and 8th with damage, so it doesn't seem to be affecting these guys too much. He'll get the run on Michael Whitley, and see Michael just kind of pulls down the inside, going to give Levi that preferred groove. Levi should be able to make the pass here.
And that's just good quality racecraft right there. You know, the guy's faster than you. He's caught you from way back in the pack, and that's what you like to see when you're racing around these guys.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot from Michael Wilson. He's been pretty competitive. We've seen a lot also from David Wilson, and you see him in the top 5. Wilson's 4th in points, having a great run. I think last week, how good of a person David is. He's so cool to talk to. He runs that stream where he's got a VR. I think he runs his whole iRacing off virtual reality, and he streams it. And if you follow David on Twitter, you can watch us, and we're not biased. I think we're pretty good. But David, that's awesome to go behind the scenes with what David does. And when you're running good like that, it's probably even more fun to watch him.
Yeah, that's a cool little aspect of, I guess, the esport generation. I couldn't really use that phrase, but this live, Twitch streams and stuff like that, where you can, if you're really into a game, you can watch other people do it and try to improve that way. It's a neat thing, and just check out people that you like or race with. It's a cool thing to be able to do.
I knew I wasn't going to forget this. We just completed lap 43. That means it was halfway bonus point time. And I don't think we had any battles, as Michael Whitley tried to get around. That didn't even matter. So Luis Salmasso, get your 5 points. That's huge for Luis. 4 points is to Tate, 3 to Webb, 2 to Todd Smith, 1 to David Wilson. And that right there is a swing in points, as Luis was 9 back. With that, he'll be 6 back just based on the halfway bonus points. So it's going to play a difference here.
Yeah, as we were watching there, as Todd gets around Rusty for 3rd place finally. And it does still look like Todd's car is still whole. So we'll see over the course of these long runs if that'll help out Todd to be able to run down these first 2 guys. They both have a little bit of right front damage.
We're seeing a battle here with Brent Miller and the 17 Andrew Rucker. Those guys run 12th and 13th. And I noticed earlier in the race those guys were running side by side with each other. So they've been seeing a lot of each other over the course of this 44 laps of Chicagoland. This is the DD Series, Driver Developmental Series, race number 3 at Chicagoland. As you saw, a little bit of a recap. Race number 1 went to Todd Smith. Race number 2 went to Levi. So we got Todd in 3rd. We got Levi in 7th. Who knows? Those guys might get their 2nd win of the season, but I'm looking more of Luis and Tate maybe getting their 1st win of the season.
Yeah, it looks like Luis, even with that damage, he's starting to gap the field again. Unless something happens, it looks like he might be able to pull away and finally get that first win.
Yeah, and we're talking about Luis getting his first win. He's no underdog story. Luis is one of the fastest guys here each week. He had a lot of bad luck last year. Had a lot of good finishes. We're going to see Todd Smith, though, almost give Tate a bump. But Luis was fast every week he ran. As Todd kind of runs, woo, that was close right there. As Todd Smith gets a little bit close into Tate there. Todd Smith, as we've seen, gets a little bit aggressive in the turns, but that's all right. And he gets loose out of the tri-oval.
Yeah, that was a good piece of driving right there. It looked like he was dirt tracking at 185 miles per hour through the lower part, the flat part of the apron of the tri-oval there. But you can tell these guys are driving hard to try to pass each other.
And that's the tale of two stories there. You saw Matt Hackathorn get loose that same exact spot. Hackathorn overcorrects into the inside or into the outside wall. Todd Smith gets a little bit loose, saves it, like you said, goes dirt tracking, keeps on trucking, and he's up to second, actually stays in second. So good save by Todd.
And Todd will go back to work on Mr. Lytle again, it looks like. That's a good race there for second. I'm wondering if Todd can get around Tate. Maybe he can start trying to track down Luis a little bit here, as we only got 37 laps to go.
That's my bad. Todd's in third, not second. Tate's in second. As those guys are racing, it's kind of opened the gap up. Luis 2 seconds in front of Tate Lytle and Todd Smith, but it's a good race. Tate's in second. It goes all the way back to, I think, 8th place is spread throughout. So good battle between second through 8th there.
Yeah, there's a lot of good battles going on the track, as I would imagine the tires are starting to get wore out. Maybe we'll see a couple comers and goers here, see who took care of their equipment here for the first part of this run.
And I feel like pit strategy is kind of out the window unless we have caution. I feel like all those guys can make it after that caution that we had. We got 36 laps to go. I think that's plenty of fuel that we got. So if we don't get a caution, it's going to be kind of Luis's race to lose, and kind of maybe based on second through 8th to see who can get maybe a top 5, who can get second. But right now it's Luis 2.1 seconds out in front.
Now, I think the caution was lap 24, right? So I would imagine there'll have to be a pit stop here in about 15 laps. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, that's right. We didn't get the caution on the halfway marker. Yeah, so yeah, they're going to have to pit. Well, that adds a little bit of a wrench into that, because wouldn't you think we might start seeing a little bit of short pitting with the lap times kind of dwindling down here? It seems like lap times, Luis Almaso's best lap was a 32.1. His last lap was a 34 flat. So I'm guessing if you short pit, and Todd Smith gets into the back of Tate Lytle, loosens them up a little bit. But Richard, don't you think short pitting might be kind of the way to go here?
Yeah, depending on where you're at on the track, I think if you're back there in 7th or 8th place, you might be able to pick up a few spots here, but it stays caution free. That's always the risk you take when you duck in there a couple laps ahead of schedule.
Seen a lot of Todd Smith, and one word I can describe Todd is aggressive. He's clean, but he's aggressive. As he gave the shot to Tate, saying, "Tate, I'm here," but Tate's not going to just give it to him and roll over easy, as he's going to try to give Todd that inside line. That's a tough line to pass around. So if I'm Tate, you get a shot from Todd, I'm going to be pinching him down.
Yeah, it seems like you said, Todd's been clean, but he's not afraid to use that bumper. He's got that old Dale Earnhardt reinforced bumper. I think it's close.
Sorry, Richard, keep going.
No, you said it. I mean, Todd's driving hard to try to get around Tate. I think he thinks he's probably got something for Luis if he can get clear of the 83 car.
And that just opens the door for Rusty. He's right on the back bumper of Todd Smith. Rusty's having a good run. And then you see P5. We mentioned just about 15 laps ago, Levi was running an 8. Levi cracked the top 5, and I'm sure Levi's kicking himself, saying, "Why did I mess up in qualifying?"
Yeah, Levi is one of the fastest cars on the track right now. I think it would be a caution. He would definitely have something for these leaders. But yeah, I think Todd's right there back again on the back bumper of the 83. We'll see how it plays out this time.
Yeah, that last lap there, Levi was a 34 flat. Fastest car on the track. His second fastest was Luis at a 34.06. So you're right, we got a battle for second. Todd trying to get underneath Tate. And he'll clear the pass there. Finally clear him.
Yeah, I think Tate finally decided he maybe had enough. It looks like his right front's pretty significant there. A little bit more significant than I thought as we got to look at it there as they're side by side.
Yeah, Tate's going to try to cross over, but that's a preferred line to Todd Smith. And there's Jordan Teal spinning out, going on a pit road. He saves it. That's a great save by Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan did a good job of not tearing the car up right there for sure. Still side by side in the 3 though. Tate's hanging tough there next to the 19 car.
See if Todd can get the run off. He does there, and that should do it. I think Todd will clear him, and it seemed like Todd was the faster car. And we got a lot of issues coming on a pit road. That's Christopher Munker, another car getting loose.
You know, that's one thing. If these guys don't do league races that are longer, not a lot of green flag pit stops in, you know, your B series and your B open. These guys aren't used to that. It's tough getting on pit road and not trying to lose anything at the same time, not trying to screw up.
And from what I remember of Chicagoland, pit road's a little tricky. It kind of pops out there really suddenly as you notice these cars. They come off of 4, and then you got to dip right down into the pits.
Yeah, it's real flat down there. Not a lot of time to get it slowed back as you come off the bank in there.
That's something we got to watch out for. There's David Wilson. He's coming on a pit road, making his pit stop. David was running in the top 10. He comes on clearly. He's got damage everywhere. Right front, right rear.
Yeah, I think David's got acquainted with that wall a little bit as we got a caution.
We got a caution. None of the leaders have pitted. I'm guessing you think that's a caution for somebody spinning out, going on a pit road?
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I don't see it as I go through the field here, but obviously something happened.
But here's something interesting. David Wilson pitted. Went to pit road. I wonder if he completed his stop. And there's, really don't. I got to see that again. I don't really know what happened there between Hines and I think, yeah, that was Skylar Nissel. And Richard just way off the pit. Okay. There it is. Skylar get a little bit loose here, Richard? Yeah, he does. He gets a little loose, but man, is that just one of them racing deals?
Yeah, it looks like Skylar gets loose, and you know, a lot of us guys racing only got one screen. You kind of trust that the guy outside of you is going to drift up to the wall at the right point. When he doesn't, all of a sudden you meet. You never expected to even be near him.
Yeah, I don't think Richard knew that Skylar was loose there, and they kind of just ran into each other. We got cars coming on the pit road, and this will definitely be final stops. Luis has pitted once before. It came out first. Let's see if he comes out first here.
Yeah, those last couple of laps.
He overshot it. That's it. That ruins it for Luis. Overshot his pit. Let's see how many spots he loses. Smith beats him out. Lytle beats him out. That's a killer. Looks like Rusty Webb beat him out too. As you see, Todd Smith 13.7. Tate Lytle looks like a 14.7. And Luis 16.47. Almost 3 seconds he lost on pit road, Richard. And everybody knows you can't do that.
No, it's going to be tough to get those spots back. I know he's the fastest car on the track, but it's not that big of a gap. Even at the end of that run, Todd was actually a little faster once he got clear of the 83 car. I know Luis is probably the fastest on fresh tires, so we're going to get to see it the old-fashioned way here over these last 23 or 24 laps that'll be left, and we'll go back to green.
So this is interesting. We got Todd Smith in first. Todd's a little bit better on the longer run. Tate is fast on the short run. And then I haven't seen Luis have to battle traffic at all. So it's going to be fun to watch this. These three guys battle out.
Yeah, this ought to be a good racing for sure. And as we talked about, Todd's the only car up front, I think, that's kept it clean. I know Levi's banged his car up, and I know Tate for sure has. I don't know about Rusty Webb. He might still have a clean car, and he was pretty quick there.
And you see on the race summary there, we got one lead change. That doesn't do it justice. We've had battles all over this track. I consider this race really fun. It's a lot of cars. I mean, you see Levi work his way up all the way from last. He's up to third right now, I think, tracking third. Yeah. So Levi beat Rusty and Luis. So Luis fell back to fifth.
Yeah, Luis has definitely got his work cut out for him. At least he's starting on the inside line, which I imagine the leader will start on the inside line. Definitely some work cut out for him.
So this will be fun little shootout to the end. Gonna have about 23 laps to go when we get the green flag. Todd Smith first, Tate Lytle second. Levi Zielinski, definitely the hard charger award. It was Brett Miller last week. Levi this week, starting last. Rusty Webb fourth, another strong run for Rusty. And Luis Salmaso, P5. And if Luis loses this race, it's got to be another heartache for him.
Yeah, that'll be tough to swallow, especially, I think he had like a 2.7 second lead or something close to that when it's coming down to it.
So we'll see here. Lights are off on the pace car, lap 24, so it'll be lap 23, or 23 to go when we get the green flag. I think we have Hanshaw on here. Hanshaw, are you watching the race right now? You're out of the car with a unfortunate DNF, but what do you see coming these last 23 laps here?
Well, I mean, these guys are just going to go all out for sure. Saving tires is going to be out of the question. It's just a matter of who's going to be the smoothest and choose the best line and keep her straight, and we'll see some good battles here.
Well, we're in through turn 3. Coming out of turn 4, and if you want to win this championship, you got to think to yourself, I got to get a win. And right now, for about 6 of these guys, this is their best opportunity so far to get a win. Let's see how it works out. 23 laps to go. Todd Smith takes us to the green. When Levi gets a good jump on Tate, he'll settle into second. And man, Levi all the way up to second.
Yeah, that's an impressive run so far. We'll see if he's got anything for the 19 car as these last 22 laps play out. Tate tucks right back up underneath the 59 car though.
It looks like Levi lost a little bit of ground exiting turn 2. Todd Smith pulls away just a little bit. Let's see if Tate can try to work his way back around Levi. Seems like Levi's got some speed underneath that car.
Yeah, I mean, he's proven that for sure, coming all the way back from 26th. And as they go down into 1 here, it looks like he's staying neck and neck there with the 19 car.
We talked about Luis starting 5th in that restart. He's worked his way up 1 spot to P4. Rusty Webb falls back to 5th. Is this going to be, I think, a 3-car battle? Maybe 4 cars once Luis works his way back up through there. Todd Smith right now, and I think you want to get by Todd fairly early as he has shown a lot of speed on the long runs.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to, I mean, you're definitely going to have to drive the tires off the car to try to hang with him here. His car's clean. Nobody behind him really is. You just saw the 62 car, Zachary Owen, getting the wall a little bit there, but he did a good job of gathering it up without causing a problem.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 different lines. Todd going in really shallow, kind of running that bottom lane. Levi running that top lane. Gets a good run off. I don't know. That could work out to either guy's way. It seems like the bottom lane has been good on the restarts, but the top lane starts working as the run goes on. Levi already up to the top lane, just trying to get a little bit of momentum as he kind of sets back to the bottom there in 1s and 2.
He got a good run through 1 and 2 there, though. Looks like he's going to gain a car length on Todd. We'll see if he's got anything for him. Going to hit into 3 here. He's going to tuck up right behind him.
Going to take that middle groove. He's going to get a little bit of a run off. He's kind of closing in about a half a car length every lap. As where I'm seeing Luis kind of starting to catch up too as Levi tries that outside line, goes back to the bottom. It won't work here. We got 19 laps left, so Levi's he's got tons of time left.
Yeah, I'd almost expect Todd to start taking that line away from him as we work in here. Try to make Levi pass him the non-preferred way that we've seen have a hard time working so far. Try to get underneath him.
And I think Levi got in too hard there. He lost a lot of time coming into turn 3. as Tate gets pretty close to him now. Todd Smith, little bit of a gap. I think that's the only battle we got going on the track right now, but with 18 laps to go, we got to focus on the leaders. I'm trying to look for Luis. He's about 2/10 off of Tate. It's going to be hard to pass these guys if I'm Luis. I don't really know what I got to do, as I think Todd Smith blinked out. Oh, there he goes. He blinks back in. So a little bit of a scary moment for Todd.
Yeah, you hate to see a guy lose connection right there.
There's Tate going all the way to the apron. Being reported that the 83 whacked the wall coming out of turn 4 again. As you see, Luis right on his back bumper. He's going to try to make a pass on Tate.
Yeah, that definitely cost him some momentum. The 4 car tucks right up underneath the 83 car. You expect him to try to make that pass here pretty quickly. Try to catch these front 2 guys.
Now, all these guys, top 4 basically, have been running the same lap times every lap. Besides, during this first part of the run, 16 laps to go. Tire wears, like I always say, it's got to play some type of a factor here. I don't really see anybody falling off too much. I saw the 18, as we don't see Levi Zielinski anywhere, do we? Do you see him anywhere?
No, and I'm got both streams up. I don't see him anywhere. It looks like he might have
Oh,
lagged out
man.
the system.
And he's been gone for over a lap now. And that's pretty much it. I don't see Levi anywhere. It's Tate Lytle in second and Luis to third. So a huge break for Todd Smith and an awful break for Levi.
Yeah, that's got to feel terrible for Levi after all that hard work to work his way up from the tail end of the field all the way up to second place, challenging for the win. For his computer to cost him that chance.
And I'm gonna throw out here a lukewarm take on Levi, and that ends his championship.
Yeah, I would say I would imagine he'll end up. It looks like he'll end up back in about maybe 21st or 22nd. That's not going to be very many points compared to these front guys.
Yeah, and that's another that's a tough break for Levi. Trying to, you can't gain any more points. Really, he'll probably finish maybe right now. He scored 19th. He had a bad race at Charlotte. Ends up winning Iowa. Yeah, that's gonna be tough for Levi to try to get these points, and especially when Todd's ripping off top 5s and wins every week.
Yeah, we're just getting the word that it looks like it'll be a 21st place finish for Levi unless he gets back in here pretty quick. He's already all the way back to 20th now, though, so it looks like that's where he's doomed to finish. Yeah, maybe you could have got away with 1 semi-bad finish, but 2 even mediocre finishes probably going to take you out of this championship.
And here's Luis trying to get the inside over Tate Lytle. He'll try to work that, maybe that apron. He'll go to the apron. Nope, he'll stay right tucked on that white line. Try to make the pass to the inside. It's tough to do here. Tate's not going to give him really any room.
No, and Luis does a gentlemanly thing there and kind of backs off. He didn't want to get the car pushing up into him through the middle there, but he pulled back up even with him going in 3.
See if Luis can make the pass on Tate and try to work on. Oh man, that's close. They get really close out of turn 4. Tate almost hits the wall, and Todd Smith's got to be loving this.
Yeah, and that's, every position's important, but then at some point you got to ask yourself, is it worth? You battle a guy for too hard for too long, and eventually something's going to happen, and a 3rd place finish could turn into a 20th place finish in a hurry.
Yeah, we got word Levi's in the infield care center. We'll get to him after the races. We only got 10 laps to go, 11 laps to go. We have 10 coming to the line, but we still have a battle. Tate Lytle, Luis Samos has been gone for about 3 laps here. Luis might be able to clear him now. He'll clear him. As Tate's going to shoot to the inside, tries to do the crossover move on Luis.
Tries to use the crossover through the trial when he gets back up underneath him. I don't think he'll be able to get by him here. Probably, I would imagine, as you see Luis get some momentum.
Tate's still fighting back. Heck of a battle between 2 cars that's got right side damage.
And Todd Smith just checking out on these guys, almost a 2-second lead now.
Yeah, 2.2 second lead on these 2 guys fighting for position. But what's interesting is Rusty Webb hasn't really caught these two guys. You think he would, but he's staying about 0.6 of a second behind these guys. As Tate's still fighting on that inside. Oh, don't drift up there. Don't drift up. If he stays, that should make it. I think Luis should clear him there.
That's just good hard racing right there by both those guys. Good job by Tate not to get up into him. And Luis didn't give him a lot of room, but he gave him enough room to make it through the corner there pretty nice and clean. As you see Rusty back there now, he's not really going to be a challenge for these guys, but that's a good run for him in 4th place. I'm sure he's happy with that.
Yeah, we call this the driver developmental series, but these two guys right here, Luis Salmaso and Tate Lytle, they're one of the best in the biz in 3 wide. I would put them in the top 5 if they have a clean race, top 5 in any race we go to, any track we go to, in any series. So Todd, Luis, Tate, these guys, they're really not rookies. They're basically one of the best drivers in this league. And I know I've only seen 3 races from Todd, but I can pretty much guarantee you that he's going to be a front runner come March.
Yeah, it looks like Todd's going to be tough to beat in anything he decides to get in.
So here we go. We got 7 laps to go. Luis Salmaso, 2.3 seconds back. I'm sure he burned up a lot of his tires trying to fight with Tate. And I think if everything stays clean, I think Todd Smith should be going to victory lane.
Yeah, it looks like Luis was actually a little bit faster than Todd that last lap, but I don't think he would have to be significantly faster to be able to run him down.
Let's see, crossing the line, Luis 2.3 seconds back. You see a battle here. Christopher Munger and who is that? Oh, it's Brent Miller in the 88 car, or 89 car, sorry. Brent is currently in 11th place. Brent coming off a 2nd place run. Had to have a lot of confidence after that 2nd place run in Iowa. That was one of Brent's career best finishes.
Yeah, that was a good run for Brent. It's good to see him having a decent race again here. 11th's not really what you're looking for, but keeping the car clean, having a good solid run at the top of the middle of the pack.
And I'm looking at the point standings right now. This is points from last week. It's not as they run. I'm going to give a little bit of a outlook on how they run. You got Todd Smith in first. He's our leader. He's going to gain some ground. Luis Salmaso, 2nd in points. Well, he's 2nd as they run. And then you got Rusty Webb. He's 4th. David Wilson is 16th. So not the run David wants right now with 5 laps to go. I don't think he can make up too much ground. I'm not too sure what happened to David. We might have to get a word with him because he was running. He was running in the top 5, but he did, like we noticed, he had quite a bit of damage, so maybe that affected him. So Michael Whitley might jump Wilson, and so Christopher Munger might jump David Wilson as well, but the top 3 is going to remain the same.
Yeah, and like you talked about earlier, it shows how if it finishes like this, I think Luis will still at least pull even with Todd in this race in points. So it'll keep him from gapping him too much, getting those 5 bonus points at halfway.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've mentioned this yet this year, but the winner of this championship gets a free charter. If you are a returning league veteran and you win your group, so if you're first and all the returning league veterans, you're going to get a charter. As Skylar Nissel in the wall again, he almost lost it, but all the rookies here in the DD series is going to get a free charter for the truck series, which is going to be an awesome season in the trucks. But a lot of the champion's going to get a charter. There's going to be 2 free charters issued out. A charter for the returning league member and also a rookie. We got 2 laps to go, coming to the white flag. Todd Smith into 3 and 4. Pretty much clear sailing as Luis has not he's stayed steady, 2.4 seconds back. I'm guessing he burned up all those tires.
Yeah, I think Luis has actually been catching him in hundredths of a second. Unfortunately, needed to catch him in tenths of a second to have a chance to challenge there.
So Todd Smith won at Charlotte. He must like these 1.5-mile tracks. Won at Charlotte, almost won at Iowa, but ran out of gas. Ended up finishing 7th. And he's only got one more turn to go, and he'll pick up win number 2 of his short three-wide racing career. This is only his 3rd race. Todd will go 2 for 3 in the DD Series. He wins it here at Chicago.
That's a nice win there for Todd. Good solid race. I know Luis has got to be kicking himself as he crossed the line 2nd place, Tate Lytle 3rd, and Rusty Webb with that good 4th place finish.
So those are 3 interesting interviews. We'll talk to Tate having that damage, Luis having that kind of pit fail, and then Todd Smith leading the rest of that race after Luis had that problem. We should probably do interviews now. Do you want to do, Richard, do you want to do Tate?
And Tate, Richard Lafferty, you got a copy?
Yep, go ahead.
Well, Tate, that was a good solid run for you. I know you got a little right front damage. How do you think that affected the latter portions of the race there?
Honestly, I don't think it affected anything. I nipped the wall like on lap 20, and it didn't seem to slow it down any.
That was a good solid 3rd place finish. How do you feel like the whole race went for you there?
It was good. Car was just really tight, and it was really hard to make passes, so I don't know. It just seemed kind of boring.
Yeah, there was a lot of good racing, though. It seemed like it was a little bit multi-groove. I know it was hard to make that pass on the bottom. You had a lot of good challenges there on the bottom, though. How do you feel about going forward here?
I feel good. I'm really pumped for Homestead next week. It's a really good track for me, so hopefully I can have something for Todd. Was it 2 weeks?
Our
I know.
producer's saying 2 weeks. Off week next week? Super Bowl off week. That's right. Hey, Tate, it's Johnny. Man, I'm seeing you 9th in points. You had a great run at Charlotte. Had a connection issue at Iowa, and this is another good finish. If you didn't have that connection, it's got to be shooting yourself in the foot. You'd probably be in like the top 2 in points.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I could have got 2nd or 3rd last week at Iowa. Maybe even got the win. Who knows? But I don't know.
Yeah, well, hopefully you have a good weekend, good finish, P3. Enjoy your break, Super Bowl break, and we'll see you back here come Homestead in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Who you guys got in the playoff tomorrow?
I'm gonna go with the experience and go with Day. What are you doing? You going with the rookie? Or he's really not a rookie, is he? He's a veteran of the EuroLeague.
Yeah, he's been on the European Tour for a while. I'm going to go with Norin.
Nice. All right, Tate Lytle making his. See, Carlos doesn't even know what we're talking about. He's making his. What is it, Richard? Farmers Insurance. What's it called?
Farmers Insurance Open.
Yeah, going to the playoffs. They went 5 holes? Sorry, we're going way off subject. Going to going to 2-man playoffs. Going to the Tate 18th hole.
Yep, go 18, then 16, then 17.
There's Tate Lytle with our golf analysis there. So good run, Tate. We'll see you in a little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
If you haven't known, Tate's actually an awesome golfer. He's actually, I think, what is he? An amateur golfer, almost in the PGA, right, Richard?
Yeah, he was telling us. I guess he's a SA PGA professional, and apparently he gets some chances to compete to qualify for tournaments as they go forward.
So maybe we'll be seeing Tate on Sundays at the Masters with Jim Nance on CBS one day.
And if Tate's looking for anybody to carry his bag, I got a strong back and a lot of free time.
All right, we'll get to Luis. He finished P2. I'll drag Luis up here and give him a talk. Luis, you got a copy?
I got a copy.
Man, Luis, I know this isn't going to be a happy interview. We talked about how you were just so consistent. You were the leader of this pack for most of the race. You led most of the laps, and that pit stop. Can you just talk a little bit about it? I know you don't want to talk about it, but can you just talk a little bit about that pit stop?
Nah, it's racing. We, for some reason, I don't know if by design or by what happened, but the car was barely undrivable. That was extremely tight, going into the run, where you barely could turn the wheel. The car would not turn at all. And with the wear of the tires, you would just be completely loose, and not that good loose. No, you'll be loose in, loose off, absolutely no grip. So the only way that you could fight that was to put way too much rear brake into the car, so you could trail brake into the turn to see that thing would at least point into the right direction. And when you're gonna pit, the tires are so worn out that a little bit too hard that you go, if you pass just a tiny bit off the point, then there's nothing you can do. The moment you start sliding, if you take your foot off the brake, it's even worse. So you need to keep the foot on the brake and just pray that you're not going to hit the wall. So luckily I didn't. So, and then when you come back to the track, under those circumstances, you have guys completely overdriving what they can do and putting you into situations that if you force too much, you're going to wreck them. If not, they're going to throw the car on top of you. And it is what it is. That's racing. So I just don't understand why we're driving. If we're messing around with the setups, why the cars are being the way that they are. So something's off with either what it's being used in either to set up the configurations of the cars that we're using, or we need to rework that thing, because you really cannot drive a car like that, and it makes for a boring race because guys cannot go side by side. To pass is barely impossible. So it's just one of those things. So we did the best what we had to work with, and that's what it was. At the end, you get caught up in a bunch of situations, and the guy in front of you just was 2 seconds in front of you. There's absolutely nothing you can do at that point.
That's awesome insight. That's probably the best insight we've had, not only this race, but probably the whole year. We noticed the cars were super tight. We honestly didn't see the loose condition out there, but like, I know I've been in the driver's seat too. It's hard to see the loose condition. You can always see the cars pushing up. The Charlotte race was, I think, tight and then snappy loose off. Was it any type of comparable to Charlotte?
It wasn't different because Charlotte, you could feel that the car there was something off with the front end of the car. You could tell that the setup was only turning because of the backhand. This one, you could, like, it was almost like you were plowing midway through the corner, but I went back and watched, and that was not it. So it's just a misinterpretation of where the setup is, and it's not tire pressures. When you look back on the configurations, we were running a car that had almost 57 points of ballast in the front of the car. That, like, there's no reason why we were doing that. None. And if you just look at the setup, then you have shock springs that were not all the way up. You have a bunch of stuff that was not where people that normally work with open setups, you can just see that thing, it just jumps on you. But that goes, and I'm not here to criticize the setups of the league or anything like that, and that's not the point. It's just we can do better. I think if we have a car that is completely at your disposal, reacting to what you want to do, we will see better races, because then guys can just drive. And you can see guys being aggressive side by side, not having to worry about, my God, when is this thing going to tight up? Because you were having to back up like almost 5 seconds off the gas into turn one, so the car would point. And if you missed a little bit, you were shooting up the track, and God help you. So it's just one of those things. And because of, you could feel the unbalance of the whole thing. 15 laps in, because you're having to put so much emphasis on the gas, the back end would start to slide, and then you start to feel the wear on the right front. So it was a completely unbalanced feeling, and you just loose in and out after 20 laps. So, but everybody was dealing with the same thing, so it's no excuse. Todd got up in front, and he got up in front when he had to. So kudos to him. Nice job on that last pit stop. So it is what it is. So bring on the next one.
Oh, yeah, Luis, it's definitely understandable what you're going through, and I know for a fact that this setup was tweaked. I don't think it was a fixed setup. But one thing, I'll try to brighten up your day a little bit. You've been close to winning these things the past 3 weeks, you're still second in points. Anything could happen to Todd to get you back into the lead, into this championship. This is nowhere to be over with you. Sitting P2, off week next week, man. And then we go to Homestead. So good luck to you, Luis. Awesome interview, man. I love the insight. We love the insight here. 3Y TV needs more of that. So, man, wish you the best of luck rest of the year and good run today.
Thanks, guys. I know what's going to happen to Todd. He's going to see a big ass number 4 coming next to him. That's what's going to happen. But we'll save that for the next couple of races. Thanks again, guys, for the broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch and see you guys at Homestead.
Thanks, Luis.
Well, definite interesting interview there with Luis. He definitely has some comments. It seemed like the setup was working out for him for most of that race, though.
Yeah, and before we interview Todd, Richard, that was a lot to digest with what Luis said, and it's great insight. We can't see it from up here, but we've already got Tate saying that the car, they both use the same word, boring, tight, undrivable. Really, as a driver, I know. I mean, what do you think they're kind of going for, or what maybe needs to be happening in the future?
Well, we talked about it in the past. I think a lot we're really working to try to make these cars so tight that it's hard to screw them up. At least driving them. And we pretty much saw it. The only 2 cautions we had were just simple mistakes that didn't really have anything to do with the setup or the car being loose at all. I know you're a lot more likely for a car to get away from you when it's loose. So, you hope the league will look at that. If the setups are too tight, maybe we can tweak them a little bit, try to make them a little bit more neutral, have some more people looking. It looks like Luis has a lot of technical insight for the league, so hopefully he'll share that as we go about setting these cars up.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm a big fan of if they offer fixed setups for the tracks, then let's run the fixed setups. Don't tweak anything. And see if we're going to a road course that we've never run at, that the B cars or the Cup cars don't run at, then build a setup for it, or a track. We go to South Boston. Obviously, the Cup cars don't go to South Boston, so you got to create a setup. But I'm pretty sure Chicagoland has their own fixed setup, so that may be better off than using that. But enough of that. We'll get to our race winner, Todd Smith. If you want to bring him up here, Richard, get in the victory lane and talk to Todd.
Todd, Richard Lafferty with the broadcast. You got a copy?
Hey, Richard, what's up?
Well, you did it again. You kind of bided your time, ran in the top 5 for the whole race, and then there at the end, just hammered home another win, another dominating performance towards the end of the race there. How'd it feel?
I felt good. Definitely had to drive the car. The setup was great. A lot of people put a lot of brake in the rear of the car. I didn't even touch it. So I think it was like 68% in the front. But you just have to take care of it. Don't blow the tires off. Luis had the fastest car. He was driving his tail off. Messed up there in the pits late. Kind of cost him, and Tate, I think, got to racing. He lost about a second and never could gain it back. I could just be steady and real consistent on that. And like I said, I drove from 9th pretty hard there after that stop because I screwed myself up. I was too far left and I backed up too far, and it was a disaster. But had a bunch of good guys in my ear, the whole team, PPG and all our associates, kind of coaching me through it. And they all did pretty good too, but it was a fun race.
Yeah, I would say so. I guess you say you screwed up the earlier pit stop, but there was no doubt on that last one. When it counted, you made it happen.
Yes, sir.
You got a pretty nice little point lead here going, got a break, and then we go to Homestead. How do you feel about going to Homestead with that point lead?
I love Homestead. I'll go there and drive just like I have been. I should have had a better run last week, but, the fuel gods wasn't looking out for me, and cost me a good finish last week. But, yeah, I'll take a week off, and I'll go shoot for a top 5 at Homestead, see what happens.
That's got to be a scary thought for the rest of the year. Looking forward to going to a certain track for sure. It's dominating you've been through the first 3 weeks, even though you couldn't get the win last week. You gave a shout out to PPG. Looks like y'all got a whole group over there. Who is the owner over there at PPG?
Chad Brown, he's kind of the honcho. He started it, and he's pulled in a lot of good people. Just in general, the good drivers, good guys to be around, talk to, cut up with, just all around, like I say, a good group.
That's what it's all about when you come here to race. I know that's what it's all about for me and Johnny. So you looking forward to going into the season with that group? I guess that's going to be your team as you go into the regular season here at Through Wide.
I think that's going to work out. We're trying to nail everything down, but I would say I feel comfortable saying that that'll be the group I stick with. I hope they'll have me, but if I'm lucky enough for them to, then you'll see me around them a lot.
Well, I appreciate it, Todd. Good luck going to Homestead. Good job tonight. Way to get it done when it counted.
I appreciate it, guys.
That was Todd Smith, and I found it hilarious. Tate and Luis, this setup sucks. And then Todd comes in here and he said he loves the setup.
I just don't know how Todd gets so excited every time we get him up in here after he has a good run.
He's not the most excited guy, but maybe he just does this for a living. He just wins races.
I think Todd's pulse rate when he's leading is about 40. You want to try to get
What? Who?
You want to try to get Levi up in here and we can talk to him about what happened there towards the end?
Yeah, you can bring him up. Yeah, he was in the ICC earlier in a 10-lap battle. Levi.
Yo.
Got a copy?
Yes, I do.
You were in the infield care center earlier. We couldn't catch you because there was a little battle, 10 laps to go. Man, that's a heartache that you had there. You had a fast car. You started freaking dead last, and then you ended up working all the way up to second. Gonna challenge for the lead, I think, in my opinion. And then the what happened?
Oh, the good old AT&T service, just took a shit out in left field. So, we got nothing left of the router, I don't think, over there. So, we're going to have to figure out something for next week.
Yeah, and it's me and Richard were talking about it. It's unfortunate for you because at the first race of the year at Charlotte, you had trouble. You rebounded. You got that big win. Moved all the way up to 7th in points. A huge 19 position difference from 21st where you were all the way up to 7th. And if you got a good run here tonight, you might have moved up in that top 5. It might have been within distance of Todd. Now, man, you probably fell back probably a good 3 or 4 more spots. But what's your outlook now that you had basically 2 bad races to finish up these last 3?
Not much really. I guess just go out there and test for next season. Guess we got nothing to lose, so we're just gonna try to get some wins under our shoulders. So pretty much all we can do. The setup was great tonight. Had a lot of good runs. I feel like the setup, a little loose, but it was perfect for me. Gotta learn how to drive it in and drive it out of the car. I definitely worked a lot better too for it.
Yeah, we've had kind of a 50-50 on the setup. We had a couple drivers saying that they didn't like it. Todd comes in here and says he loves it, like you said. So I think it's just based on how you're driving the car, your driving style, and how each setup kind of suits your driving style. And you kind of got some, I'll talk a little bit kind of the owner side. I know you own Rebel Racing. You signed a driver. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we signed Andrew this week. So he's going to be running the series for us. Not sure quite where it's going to go from there. We're just, kind of getting some people in here to see how they're doing and, get them into the league, honestly, and just make them have fun. So we'll see where it goes from there, honestly, And, the comment on the setup thing, honestly, is if you can't drive it loose, just don't come and drive, Just plain and simple. If you can't drive it, just stay home. Shit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to comment on that. But Andrew had a good run, P7 today for you guys. So Rebel Racing had a car that could contend for the win and ended up with one that ended up finishing in the top 10. So Levi, good run for you. Unfortunately, it ended kind of early, and we'll see you back at Homestead.
All right, that works. I'll find whoever DDoS me offline, so don't worry.
And
Okay.
get Andrew on the team speak so we can talk to him next week.
Yeah, we'll try. We're figuring out the connection issue. He's having issues like I had back last year, so we're gonna have to try to figure something out for him, Richard.
All right, take it easy, Levi.
All right, see y'all.
He's definitely not short on words. But Levi kind of says it like it is. Calling out the people who called out the setups. We got people calling out pretty much everybody.
A lot of testosterone in the team speak. I guess you'd call it just internet tough guy style.
Like estrogen.
So we got a whole bunch of mad people, and I think this is just going to continue because this is just race 3. I know, it's a short season, so we know it was going to be really intense from race 1, but it's picking up now. We're seeing Todd Smith. He's starting to dominate. These guys are probably not liking it too much that he's won 2 out of the 3 races. And then you got Luis kind of sitting back in second. He wants to get up there and contend for a championship. We know he can, so I think the intensity is just going to pick up, and we're just halfway.
I'm looking forward to this battle between Luis and Todd over these last 3 races. I really think that's going to turn into a real good battle. If Luis can get it together and get a win, get that 5 points at halfway next week and then get a win the week after that, or at the end of that race at Homestead, it's going to tighten everything up real tight. So hopefully he can make it happen, keep everything together for a whole race.
So when NASCAR has issues during the race or after the race, they always bring in Mike Helton to kind of calm things over, and Mike will give you little soothing sounds that makes everybody happy. We'll bring in Corey, and we'll give an interview with Corey to see kind of how he based this. We're in the halfway season, the halfway point, so he can talk a little bit about what he's seen, and then kind of talk about a little bit about the stuff that people's been complaining about this week. So we got Corey. Corey, I said you're the Mike Helton. Whenever things arise, we bring you on to talk about it. First off, this is the halfway point. Race number 3. We got 3 races left. Can you give us a good assessment on how the season's kind of went so far?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty good. Had a lot of clean racing. We had a caution-free race at Iowa, and this week we had one caution. I think the racing has been good. I think the drivers overall, they've displayed a lot of good stuff. We have a lot of things to look forward to. We'll have a good battle with Luis and Todd there. It'll be interesting to see how they can do that throughout the next 3 races.
Yeah, what me and Richard were talking about and how kind of excited we are about the future is we got battles going on not only for 1st through 5th, but guys are racing clean like 10th through 15th, and I know that's something that you want to see happening is guys racing clean throughout the pack, throughout the field. So we're going to have hopefully a lot of these drivers that are being successful throughout this season will join the A and Truck Series teams in March. But we heard Luis come in here and talk about the setups. Can you give the people at home listening, is this a fixed setup or was this a tweaked setup?
It was a tweaked setup off the iRacing stock Chicagoland setup. The only thing that was changed was the ballast, and that was something that the committee had welcomed us to do. Myself, if you want my stance on it, I say run the iRacing fixed setup and let you guys deal with them. But yeah, so we did tweak it a little bit, and for good or bad, that's what we had. I know that you can look at it a little bit more into the race setting, and you could see that the tire wear was pretty high. I don't know the exact percentage, but I know that it was towards the top end. I think that plays into it as well, as far as the tightness of what you might have with your setup,
Yeah, that's completely understandable. But you had guys complain about it, and then you had guys that loved the setup. It probably just depended on how you ran. But Luis, he didn't like it, and he finished P2. But I'm with you. I think we should run the fixed setups if fixed setups are available. But I know some people.
Yeah, I'm with that. I know a lot of guys, they want to see a different setup just because maybe they can get a different feel. I know Matt Hackaphone, he's put in a lot of effort into giving us a setup. we're all kind of short on time at the moment, so that's why we used the stock and tweaked it a little bit. So we'll have to see what we want to do moving forward. Ultimately, what I want to do is try to make everybody as happy as possible, but that's not going to happen. And to bring up what Luis said, he has a very good point of saying that it wasn't stable. I ran some laps in practice, and I think it was a little wonky myself, but we'll have that from time to time. What we'll have at Homestead might be something completely different. We'll have to see.
All right. Well, we said Corey would give you the answers because he's the main man in charge of
I don't know
everything.
how good of an answer that was, but yeah.
You kind of gave us a good answer, so we'll take it. But Corey, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you had a good time watching this race tonight, and we'll see you back at Homestead.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, boss.
All right, so I think that straightens up a little bit of things. I mean, we still got some questions up in the air, but other than that, I think that's it with the interviews, guys. Last thoughts on this race?
Those are good comments there from Corey. This league's always been run by Corey, but in a way that everybody gets input, and your input is valued, and it won't just be tossed aside. It's Corey's league with help from the drivers. It's not just Corey's league at the end of the day, and that makes it a better league, I think, and that's why we have so many people showing up for a developmental series, not even the regular season.
Yeah, definitely. Corey runs this league. I give him an A+. There's nothing that he does that I mean, there's things everybody always disagrees with, but as far as handling situations, Corey's the best at it. Hanshaw, your day ended early, but going into these final 3 races, what can you expect? Because I mean, these final 3 races, it's just going to add up. I feel like these first 3 were kind of all right races, the great racing, but the tracks, Charlotte, Iowa, Chicagoland. Now we get into Homestead, which is a really racy track, then the short track, Richmond, and then the final race of the year at Talladega. Hanshaw, what can you expect from all these?
Oh, the intensity is definitely going to pick up these last couple races for this season. But I mean, I've enjoyed this season so far in this league. The racing's been pretty clean. Guys are competitive, all the way throughout the field, which is pretty cool. And it's just fun to race with everybody. Yeah, but the intensity is going to pick up here, and it'll be a good show for the championship between those guys that are running for it.
I say if you win Talladega, we'll all meet up and have a big party, and we'll put the party on the broadcast.
I'm looking to get a win. I'm pretty confident on the restrictor plate track, so we'll see what happens.
All 4 of us can get blitzed. See how good the broadcast is.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. Congratulations to Todd. Oh, we got results, Carlos said. Todd Smith first. Luis Salmasso second. Tate Lytle third. Rusty Webb fourth. Michael Whitley fifth. Good run for Mike. I picked him to win the race. He got top 5. Thomas Morris sixth. Andrew Rucker seventh. His first ever race for 3 wide, by the way. Got 7th. Christopher Munger, another good run, 8th. Chad Brown 9th. And Skylar Nistel, I think his first top 10 in like 25 years, it seems like. Richard, do you want to do 11th through 20th?
Sure, I got the old veteran Brent Miller on the nice finish there at 11th. James Duke in the 76 car. The 12th at 87, Mr. Richard Hines 13th. 14th, Heisman Texas Jordan Teal. 15th, Zachary Onen in his first start. Not a bad run for him. He seemed like he stayed pretty clean. 16th, David Wilson, who ran better than that most of the race. Unfortunately, couldn't cash in with a better finish. 17th, Frank Sims the 4th, not to be confused with Frank Sims Jr. 18th, Josh Personette. 19th, Trey Landry, which that's got to be a disappointing finish for him. And we know who's disappointed most. 20th, Levi Zielinski.
I'll take over 21st. Nathan Young, 21st. 22nd, Mike Stevens. Hackathorn, 23rd, and you notice 22nd through 24th, Stevens, Hackathorn, Hanshaw all got involved in that first caution, that first wreck. Patrick McCusker, 25th, and Chad Frankenfield, 26th. That rounds out the field for race number 3 of the DD Series. And we got an off week next week. It's Super Bowl Sunday, so we don't race under Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the Pats and the Eagles. I'm sure Richard and Hanshaw will be rooting heavily for the Eagles, but I feel like I think it's going to be another championship for the Pats.
Go not Pats.
But that's it. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Homestead. It's going to be another exciting show. So we sign off. Have a good rest of your week, and see you back in 2 weeks.
Appreciate it, everybody.